this gentleman that I'm honored to be able to present. I had the great pleasure of meeting him for the first time in 1980 when he first came to the New York City area to start teaching at Rutgers. At the time, he would come to a friend's place in Manhattan and take about 14 trumpet students, and we would just line up and be able to take our trumpet lessons. And that was the beginning of certainly a life-changing experience for me. Although it was a brief time for me, it was a quality time for me to get some great information. William Butler Fielder, as I like to call him, get right there and throw that, is one of the most important trumpet teachers in the United States today. The students that have come through his trumpet studio read like the who's who of great trumpet players in America. Includes Freddie Hubbard, Wynton Marsalis, Terrence Blanchard, Philip Michael Mossman, Terrell Stafford. I know I'm skipping many names. Did Ralph Peterson study with him?
Yes, he did.
Nah, you should have beat him.
I know that.
The great drummer Ralph Peterson studied with him. And the main thing that Prof, as his students lovingly called him, what he taught us was the needed seriousness of the trumpet and a great love for it. And without any further ado, it is without any doubt in my mind, this is one of the greatest experiences and privileges in my life to be able to present here for the first time, now that we're starting this Purchase Brass Conference affiliation. For me, it's an honor to present Mr. Bill Fielding.
I would like to express my profoundest gratitude for you all giving me your attention and clapping for me and all the accolades right now. So I have to live up to those accolades. First of all, I'm going to talk about some of the basic concepts in brass playing first. Now, I know on the agenda they had jazz styles and all that, but I believe before you can become a great jazz player, or either you say a classical player or whatever, you have to have certain basic fundamentals consummated. And you have to be cognizant of certain basic facts and principles. And so I'm going to talk about the things experiences that I've had and the people that I have studied with and information that I have ascertained germane to trumpet over the years. I think this will be a much enriching experience for you all than just for me to say, well, practice this flexibility exercise, I play a whole bunch of notes for you, and say, oh, you practice them, and never get down to the underlying essence why we have problems. Over the years, I've been teaching now for about 38 years. I was fortunate in 1956 to get a chance, I had a chance to study with Mr. Bud Herseth and Mr. Vincent Chikowicz. But the person I really wanted to study with, I didn't have enough money to leave, getting from Nashville to New York City, so I had to end up going to, what, Chicago. But I remember I told Mr. Herseth, when I met him, I said, it's wonderful meeting you. I've had a chance to see your picture in the Downbeat magazine and Metronome magazine. But I would like to study with Mr. Bill Vega. That's who I always envisioned studying with at the time. So Mr. Herseth's reply was that he's a great trumpet player. Like that, and we started working on that. But I believe that learning through the years that all problems come from tone production. Tone production. If you do not have the right production, then there's a problem. You're going to have a problem with your articulation, your slurring, your breathing is automatic if the breath is not right. So all that stems from tone production. Now, there's three significant elements of trumpet playing, or brass playing. First is breath. we have to make sure that we have the what? Proper breathing procedure. You know, understand that thoroughly. And one of the detriments of playing the trumpet or the brass instruments is tension. Tension can not only come in the abdominal section here, but tension can come in the thorax region, which is the chest area, and the throat, because the throat determines the quality of sound we have, or the embouchure. So we have to make sure that we eradicate tension and then by which we can accentuate relaxation. All right. So I remember the first teacher told me this. One day I was in orchestra hall, and the teacher walked up to me and said, "Bill, you have to get the instrument to sound like a violin." I was baffled. I said, "Like a violin? How will I be able to get the instrument to sound like a violin?" And he said, "Well, you had to figure that out." So I was just baffled. Then of course the person said, "Well, go down to the library and listen to the records of Yasha Hackett." And so I went to the library, check out all the records, listen. I'm trying to fathom this out. What does it mean, what he said, about getting the instrument to sound like a violin? So it was a year and a half. I'm walking around Chicago, just walking, trying to fathom this out. One night I was with another trumpet teacher, and I was at his residence, and he said, "I don't like the sound you're getting." And what happened, we had kind of a little clash there. And I said, "Well, I've been hearing this about trying to get the instrument to sound like a violin." So he said, "You don't understand that?" So when he came to that, that opened up another dimension in my consciousness about playing the instrument. And how that was stated. Now, you might not find this in any book, but it was stated like the general underlying conception of the trumpet. It should be executed like a violin bow, and not like a percussive instrument. Now, what is meant by that is that if I would have a drum head here and a drumstick here, and I would do this. Now, quite naturally, you would say that that's what? 4 knocks. But if you notice after every knock, that the sound stops. It's not a continuation and not a follow-through of sound. So, in that way, we cannot basically use that. So with the violin bow, when I go across the string, I have a follow-through sound. So what he meant by that, it took me a year and a half because I had to fathom that out, basically myself, was that we have to always think horizontally. Think horizontal all the time. Instead of what? Most music is written vertically, like that. So you want to think horizontally to actually blow through the notes.